This video is sponsored by DJ The Lazy Gamer and Crimson Manifesto. Hey everyone, and welcome to the compilation of the now completed What If Master Shen Trained Goku / Turn Good series. Here you can see the original parts 1 through 4, as well as the podcast Redux version of Shen Trained Goku. And look out for a possible future project which may be a spiritual successor to some of this original story. Before we get into it though, I'd like to show you this screenshot from my analytics. This is how many of you subscribed versus unsubscribed are watching my videos regularly. Since you keep coming back, I'd like to ask you to consider doing so, along with liking and commenting your thoughts and criticisms, as they are a fantastic and free way to support my channel and content and help me make more of it. With that said though, on with the show. Hey, what's up Plus Ultra fam? It's me, Plus Ultraman, and today we're for a very special Dragon Ball What If. Now, I've suggested this one to a lot of my favorite Dragon Ball tubers that do what ifs, like Moscow X or Dragon Ball Dad, but they never really got around to doing it. So, I'll be the first one to ever really try this timeline, and I'm really excited about that. A big problem with this one was putting Goku in a position to even meet Master Shen before he met Master Roshi. There's no real way to do that. Goku has to get 3-star Dragon Ball and the Flying Nimbus, so I turned my attention to Fire Mountain. This is where we see the first ever Kamehameha in the series, but it's also where Roshi learns of Goku's heritage and offers to train him. But there would have been no need for this if Master Roshi still had the Bancho fan and gave it to Goku and Chi-Chi. So that's what I had happen. With the fan, the gang easily put out the fire and retrieved the Dragon Ball, and go on their merry way. And after this, the Emperor Pilaf saga remains as it was. The next big change comes when Bulma suggests that everyone return to the city. Here, Goku can't say he wants to go to Master Roshi's, as Master Roshi hasn't offered to train him. He also doesn't know that Master Roshi is the one who trained Grandpa Gohan, so there's really no incentive there. He's a bit sad that he wasn't able to destroy the castle with one punch, but he gets over it. Like in the anime, the gang still crashes their jet and have to walk the rest of the way. During the journey back to civilization though, Goku and the gang notice a huge dust cloud, which would be Krillin running to make it Master Roshi's. None of them really care about it though, and keep going on their way. A while after this though, they come upon 3 people in the desert. An old man, a young and tall one, and a short boy in makeup. This is indeed Tien, Master Shen, and Chaozu. And what are they doing here, you ask? Well, they're practicing the Dodon Ring. A big part of why Goku respected Master Roshi so much was the showing of power he gave by putting out the fire on Fire Mountain. So I'm sure a similar showing of power from Master Shen would give Goku respect for him as well. After seeing Master Shen demonstrate the technique, Goku would get excited and run over, wanting to learn for himself, which none of the members of the Crane School take too kindly to. Annoyed, Master Shen explains to Goku that it took 50 years to learn to control his ki and use a Dodon Ray. Undeterred though, Goku would point and produce a much weaker and smaller Dodon Ray, much like he did to the Kamehameha in the original series. My theory on this is that ki control must come easier to Goku because he's a Saiyan. Now Master Shen would be extremely interested in the fact that Goku could so easily control his ki, if not a bit pissed that this little brat could do something so easily that it took him decades to do. Master Shen would get really excited at the idea of making an assassin out of such a prodigy, and would even offer to train Goku. I have no doubt that Goku would accept. Number one, he has nothing to do, and I'm sure he'd rather go out and train and get stronger than just sit around with Bulma and Yamcha. As per usual, with the offer to train with somebody strong, Goku would leave his friends behind with some hasty goodbyes and leave with Master Shen. Yamcha isn't going to join them because I'm sure he wants to spend time with Bulma, and he didn't join Goku to train with Master Roshi in the original timeline, both because he wasn't invited, but also because I think he was pretty much of a lone wolf. He doesn't change his mind until he sees how far Goku and Krillin go with a master. On the way to Master Shen's temple, Goku spends the entire time being just as curious as he always was, patting crotches to see what genders people were, and asking questions. During the trip, Master Shen sees that Goku is a very curious and kind soul, which he doesn't like too much, as it means he'll be kinda hard to mold him into an assassin, but his potential is very high, so he'll deal with it. Tien, on the other hand, really doesn't like Goku. He's way too naive and nice, and it's kinda pissing him off. He's also a bit irritated that Master Shen had to interrupt his training to deal with this pipsqueak. Chaozu just mirrors Tien's ideas, but he does laugh at Goku a few times, much to Tien's dismay. Once the members of the Crane School had made it to the temple, Shen would want to instantly start Goku's training, which Goku would be against as he wanted to eat first. So after surprising Master Shen with the power of his appetite, Goku would be roaring and raring to go. Like Master Roshi, Master Shen would want to test Goku's physical limits at the moment to see how much he could grow later. I imagine a lot of Roshi and Shen's basic training would be very similar as they were both trained by Master Mutaito. That being said, I've left Goku's training here basically the same as it was in the original timeline. I'm not sure what Master Shen would have his students use for weights, so I'm going to say he has some weighted t-shirts and armbands for them to wear while training. Tien and Chaozu have been training very long, maybe a few weeks, so everyone in the group is having virtually the same issues with the weight. Like Roshi, Shen has the boys doing simple physical activities with the added weight, except they'd be a lot more brutal, which is saying a lot because Master Roshi's training in itself was very hard on the boys. During all this training, a brotherhood starts to spring up. Goku can naturally turn enemies into allies over time. We've seen this a lot, and hardships do bring people together in real life. I think Goku and Chaozu will start to get really close, but Tien stubbornly holds on to the idea that he and Goku can't be friends because it would make him weak in some way. I'm sure on the inside though, he would actually kind of accept Goku, or at least want to be friends in some capacity. Master Shen is a bit iffy with Goku. He does annoy him a bit, but his potential makes him a valuable asset, so I think Shen would endure it. Master Shen also wants his students to pull their own weight, and would have them do odd jobs during their training to make money. This is probably where Tien and Chaozu got the idea from the Inoshika scam they did, but I'm sure Goku would be against that scam as it entails lying. This ticks Master Shen off because no matter how much he tries to scold Goku on how kind he was, Goku would just laugh it off and continue to be who he was. Then again, Goku has a lot of potential, so Master Shen decides that it's not that big of a problem yet and lets him be. He does, however, get the idea of entering Goku into the World Martial Arts Tournament. He's under the impression that there wouldn't be anybody there who could stand up to Goku, meaning he'd come home with the prize money easily. I'm sure Tien would be interested in going to the tournament and testing himself, and by proxy, Chaozu would too, but I think Shen would want to train them longer as he sees them as easier to mold into assassins. With the goal in mind, training would continue for the next 8 months like it did in the original timeline, and Goku, Tien, and Chaozu would have grown a lot, but now it was time for Goku to leave out for the tournament. Goku would have used the Flying Nimbus to set off alone to make it to the tournament, and once there, he would have met up with Yamcha and surprisingly Master Roshi and his new student Krillin. Goku, excited, starts to regale his friends on the 8 months of training he went through, and Master Roshi is really intrigued when he hears that his old friend and rival, Master Shen, is the one who trained him. Master Roshi is worried for a bit, but once seeing that Goku has grown much stronger and has even maintained his innocence, he would calm down. This even gives him a bit of hope that maybe Master Shen had shaped up and changed his ways. So, Master Roshi decides to drop it for now, and gets more excited to see the next generation of fighters. And so after a night of fun, it'd be time for the preliminary round. I'm leaving everyone where they were in the original timeline also. So Goku is still number 70, Krillin is still number 93, and Yamcha is still number 35. The matches also go basically the same, and the only big difference comes in Krillin's first match. He gets really nervous seeing the older monks, but I think Yamcha would come in and encourage him by telling him that he was a student of Master Roshi and therefore should be proud. And hearing this, Goku might chip in as well. And with that, the timeline goes back on track, and the three make it to the semifinals. Everyone who made it to the semifinals in the original timeline does so here as well, and the matchups are also the same. Krillin does still struggle against Bacterium, but this time, the mysterious Jackie Chun is the one who steps in encouraging Krillin. Who is that guy? Then, Jackie Chun does still beat Yamcha, and Nam beats Ranfan, followed by Goku beating Giran in basically the same way. I just see Goku actually defeating Giran instead of him giving up, as he's learned to be a bit more aggressive through Master Shen's training. Next, Jackie Chun faces off against Krillin, and instead of a long comedic fight, Krillin stays down after the first knockdown, as Goku isn't encouraging him this time. This also means that Jackie Chun doesn't show that he knows Kamehameha Wave. We can then move on to Goku vs. Nam, which again stays mostly the same, but it's still a fantastic fight. Finally, we reach the finals, and Goku and Jackie Chan face off. Now Master Roshi is a lot more fired up for this fight, as he's a bit irritated that he didn't notice how much latent potential Goku had when they first met, and that his old rival had. So needless to say, the two go at it fiercely until it comes down for the first beam struggle in Dragon Ball history. Only this time, it's Jackie Chan's Kamehameha Wave versus Goku's Big Dodon Ray, which is basically just a Dodon Ray with is about the thickness of a Kamehameha Wave instead of a death beam. Remember, the Dodon Ray is an assassination technique, not really a beam struggle technique. After the beam struggle, when Jackie Chan employs the drunken blocking technique, and Goku comments on how it was one of his grandpa's specialties, Roshi gets curious and asks who Goku's grandfather was, to which Goku laughs and says his name was Gohan. This shocks Roshi, and he grows even more fond of Goku knowing that he is the offspring of one of his former students. He then focuses and continues his assault, which Goku counters with his crazy monkey technique. But Jackie Chun has a counter for this too, and employs his sleepy boy technique, and actually grabs Goku this time and throws him out of the ring while he's unconscious, ending the match immediately. This is done because Master Roshi wants Goku to study under him now more than ever, and he even announces that Jackie Chun was trained by Roshi a while back to motivate Goku to seek him out for training instead of Master Shen. So with the tournament over, Goku and the gang decide to go out and eat to celebrate how well Goku and Krillin did. This also means that Goku is inside and being forced by Yamcha and Bulma to avoid looking at the moon. And at dinner, Master Roshi offers to train Goku, which really excites him as he's seen what Jackie Chun and Krillin could do in the tournament. But Goku decides it would be wrong to just up and leave the Crane School, and decides to return to Master Shen and at least finish his training before going to train with Master Roshi. Master Roshi is a bit sad that he'll have to wait, but he's excited to know that Goku does want to train with him. Krillin and Yamcha are also excited, and Yamcha has been accepted by Master Roshi as one of his students. The next day, Goku climbs back onto the Nimbus and flies back to the Crane Temple, where he is met with a new mysterious man who's overseeing Tien and Chaozu's training, with the words "Kill You" stitched onto his back. This is Mercenary Tao. Now, Goku returning for training works out for two reasons. Number one, it's only been 8 months since the Dragon Balls were used, so they're still not ready until another 4 months after. Even though in the canon, Goku was still able to track them while they should have not been able to be used. So this means when Goku is ready to go and find his grandfather's Dragon Ball, they will actually be canonically ready to use. So this means for the next 4 months, Goku has to go through some hellish training with Tien and Chaozu. You have to remember, Mercenary Tao is a really big reason as to why Tien was such a ruthless fighter, and I think he could have a positive effect on Goku's strength, but at the same time, he might cause Goku to become a bit more serious and hardened. But this wouldn't change Goku completely. That being said, Mercenary Tao hates Goku and beats down on him every day during those 4 months of training, but scarily notes that every time Goku comes back from recovery, he grows a bit stronger. And this causes him to be just as hard on Chaozu and Tien. And due to that, I think Tien and Chaozu would grow to dislike Tao and might grow even more closer to Goku and warm up to him a lot quicker. Now, Tien and Chaozu haven't turned completely good like we see them at the end of the Piccolo saga, but he is very slowly coming to that conclusion, and he will be Goku's ally for the foreseeable future from now on. Chaozu, however, really does like Goku. Now, once those 4 months of hell had passed, Goku will be able to see on the Dragon Radar that the balls had reactivated, and he'd be ready to leave, and I think Tien and Chaozu might be just as sick of Tao as Goku was, and want to leave with him. Now, here's another big change. Goku is now going to have the mind of Tien and Chaozu along with him to help him make better decisions. So, instead of just trying to leave Mercenary Tao by telling him and trying to leave, which would probably get him killed, Tien and Chaozu come up with a plan to sneak off during the night while Tao was asleep. And after sneaking off, I think Mercenary Tao will report back to his brother that, yo, your students have kind of dipped away. I don't know where they are. Which I think Shen would try and tell Tao to try and track his students down, because they didn't want to spend all that time training them, only for them to abandon them at the last minute. So now, the timeline has made a big change. Goku is now tracking down the 4-star Dragon Ball along with Tien and Chaozu, because they really have nothing to do. And the Red Ribbon Army has had 4 months to gather the Dragon Balls, and I think they would have at least gotten 6 of them, if not 5. Remember, they had a Dragon Radar that was approximate, not exact like ours. So where is that last ball? Well, Android 8 still has it. Remember a few things. Number one, the Red Ribbon Army has a Dragon Radar, meaning they would have known that the Dragon Ball was with Android 8 if it could sense it. This means that Android 8 somehow had a way of hiding the signature of the Dragon Ball. And another thing, Android 8 was able to come to the conclusion that the Red Ribbon Army was bad and evil and that he did not want to help them. So I think he was actually a cyborg like number 18 and 17 and not an android like number 16. This means that once Goku, Tien, and Chaozu had escaped Mercenary Tao, they would have seen on the Dragon Radar that all 6 Dragon Balls were in one place and headed there so Goku could get the 4-star ball. Now I imagine all the Dragon Balls would have been gathered at the Red Ribbon Army base, so that's where they would have attacked. And needless to say, this would have been a really easy mission for them. The Red Ribbon Army in the original timeline was no match for Goku, and in this timeline, he won't be exactly as strong as he was, because remember, he doesn't get the Sacred Water, but he has gotten a lot of Zenkais from training with Mercenary Tao. Besides, he has Tien and Chaozu with him, and they are wrecking through these guys. And with 6 Dragon Balls in his possession, I feel like Commander Red would have either gathered all his forces into one spot to protect them, or spread them way too thin and made his force incredibly easily beaten. But let's go with the first one and just say maybe he felt a need to interrogate all his officers to see if anybody had been hiding that 7th Dragon Ball. So after Goku and the gang take down the base and destroy the Red Ribbon armies, almost completely due to Tien and Chaozu being there as well, I think Android 8 would be able to give Goku the Dragon Ball, and Goku would probably let him go. That means Android 8 can just walk off and go be his own man, do whatever he wants to. He doesn't have to go hang out with Snow in her village. And with that out of the way, the timeline kind of matches back up. The only real difference is Tien and Chaozu are a part of our group much quicker, as they've grown a lot fonder of Goku and feeling to stick by him. So, when they defeat Fortune Teller Baba and Master Roshi tells Goku that he should just go out into the world and train by himself, I think he might have a new idea. There's nothing he can really do for Goku's physicality right now. But Master Roshi is smart enough to know that there's always room for improvement, and I think he would still tell Goku to go out into the world and try and train on his own. But maybe he should keep Tien and Chaozu with him, and maybe they should learn together. Hell, that being said, send Yamcha and Krillin with him. And remember, Yamcha has joined up as a member of the Turtle School earlier in this timeline because of the World Martial Arts Tournament. And Master Roshi will give them one more goal: climb Korin's Tower. Remember, Goku spent the last 4 months training with Mercenary Tao, meaning there was no need for him to go to Korin's Tower because a 4-star Dragon Ball would have already been in Commander Red's base, meaning he also didn't fight Commander Tao there and then get brought up to Korin's Tower to drink the sacred water. Now, the trip to Korin's Tower would be really fun for Goku, as he has all his friends there, they're all strong, they're all training, they're all fighting, and I think here he might learn that through collaboration, you can have a lot of fun training, getting stronger. So during this time you get a lot of sparring, and Goku could even be convinced to show Concha and Krillin how to fly. And everyone's getting along pretty well. Tien might still be in a bit of his lone wolf phase, but all these strong rivals are going to push him to open up much quicker. Now, upon reaching the land of Korin and speaking to Bora about climbing the tower, I think he would be really inclined to let them go. They have Goku with him, and he's so innocent and kind, they can't be all that bad. And everyone climbs the tower. Now, this is Dragon Ball, meaning everybody is nowhere near as strong as they would be in Dragon Ball Z. But remember, Korin's Tower wasn't too hard to climb if Yajirobe got up there. So, everyone climbs Korin's Tower, but I don't think everyone would drink the water. Goku would because he's Goku, and he just puts things in his mouth. But I think everyone else would be a bit wary to do so. Remember, the water hurt people, and if you weren't deemed worthy, you could die while drinking it. So I think Tien, being as protective as he is, wouldn't let Chaozu drink it just yet. And then Tien would probably drink it himself, and maybe Yamcha would too. I'm not too sure about him, as I think his fear of death is present through the entire series. We just don't see it as much in Dragon Ball. After their beverages, I think the group would stay there and train with Korin until the time for the World Martial Arts Tournament was coming. They would then travel back to fight each other there. And surprisingly, Master Shen and Mercenary Tao would be there and begin cursing Goku, Tien, and Chaozu out for abandoning them, to which the three really don't care too much about. I think Mercenary Tao would enter the tournament and probably get whooped, because remember, Goku and Tien have gotten way stronger by drinking the Ultra Divine Water and training with each other over the next year. And after that, I think the tournament goes pretty much the same. I think Tien will even still win, but the same thing happens with Krillin, and we do find his dead body, leading into the King Piccolo arc. Goku is mad, incredibly mad. He and Krillin weren't as close in this timeline as they would have been in the original, but this is still a heavy loss to them. Their training had begun to make them bond. Fueled by his rage, Goku tries to run off, but he doesn't get very far, as Chaozu's psychic aura surrounds his body and stops him dead in his tracks. Master Roshi and the others begin to berate Goku, telling him that if Krillin was killed so easily, the killer could indeed kill him as well. Not to mention when Master Roshi learns that King Piccolo had something to do with the murder, he is even more adamant about Goku not going. He begins to inform the group on who King Piccolo is, and everyone's surprised when Master Shen and a battered Tao from the tournament appear and finish the story for the old Turtle Hermit. Shen then got in Master Roshi's face, asking if he knew how to use the Mafuba, because if he didn't, they were in very, very big trouble. Master Roshi finishes the story and reveals that Master Mutaito did not teach him how to use the Mafuba. This surprises Shen and everyone else and makes Shen feel a strange way. Goku, realizing that he's not going to get very far, especially having both his masters and all his friends urging him not to go, relaxes and stays with everyone to strategize. He also notes on the Dragon Radar that the killer had gotten way too far for him to catch up with. Masters Shen and Roshi put aside their differences and begin to try and come up with a plan to take on King Piccolo as the group all decide to head back to Kame House. Notably, Goku sports a very solemn yet angry look and sticks very close to Tien and Chaozu. When Tambourine makes it back to his father on Pilaf's ship, he's considerably more beat up from his fight with Krillin, as Krillin was stronger in this timeline, but he still came out on top and maintains his confident smirk and is given his next mission, to kill more of Earth's fighters. Back with the Z Fighters, Bulma and the others begin to explain what the Dragon Balls are and why King Piccolo might want them to the Crane School members. They're skeptical, but then the news that the Earth's fighters are being killed comes on, and Master Roshi decides the group's next course of action. Chaozu's to fly to Korin's Tower as fast as he can to get Sensu Beans, so Yamcha and Tao's injuries could be healed. That way they'd have more people to fight, and everyone would be able to heal up if injured in the coming war. Bulma is set about making capsules to preserve the falling bodies like Krillin's, while Launch is to get to the news station and warn the world's fighters, as well as telling them to lie low. Master Roshi, Shen, Goku, and Tien would go and try and find the person attacking the world's fighters, and as a group, try and put a stop to them. Everyone agrees with this plan and sets out to do their parts. Master Roshi and his group study the news to try and find the nearest fighter, waiting for Tambourine to inevitably show up to try and kill them, which he does. The group interrupts him from making another kill and take him on as a team. Master Roshi even goes all out into his buff form, seeming for the others to do the same. Tambourine is strong and puts up a pretty good fight, but inevitably falls to the superior numbers of his opponents, and the Z Fighters begin to interrogate him. They get little to no information from him, but when he reveals that it was he that killed Krillin, he suddenly explodes, and the group look back in horror, shock, or even pride in Shen's case. See Goku with a furious glare and a smoking hand. It seems like Goku does have a bit of crane hermit in him. Master Roshi chastises Goku's rashness and bloodthirst, and the group decides to burn the papers the demon had used and fly back to Kame House, right as Chaozu returns with a big bag of senzu beans. And a big guy. After healing an ungrateful Tao and a grateful Yamcha, Chaozu introduces Yajirobe and explains that he witnessed the Big Swordsman defeat and subsequently eat one of Piccolo's demons on his way back from Korin's. Chaozu thought he'd be a pretty big help, so recruited him to come fight the demons with him. The only thing Yajirobe asked for in return was food and some of the senzu beans, and maybe even directions to Korin's after they defeated Piccolo for more. Everyone then notices the one-star Dragon Ball hanging around Yajirobe's neck, and this only sweetens the deal of him joining them. And after this, Launch and Bulma return, having done their jobs. Master Roshi and Shen decide that the best way to take on King Piccolo, in light of not having the evil containment wave, is to get the Dragon Balls and stop his wish, whatever it is. Then hopefully get all the Dragon Balls from King Piccolo and somehow make a wish to have Shenron stop the demon himself. Using the Dragon Radar, the group sets off to try and find the rest of the balls before Piccolo can, while Drum searches for them using Pilaf as a guide. After collecting 5 of the 7, Master Roshi comes up with essentially the same plan he did in the original timeline, except he has way more allies to work with this time. Tao, Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, Goku, Yajirobe, Shen, and Roshi set a trap and prepare for Piccolo to arrive, unaware that he knows of their trap. Tien sees King Piccolo swallow the Dragon Balls and relays the information to the others, which gives Master Roshi cold feet. But then Master Shen takes control of the group, telling Roshi that with superior numbers they could complete their plan. Before anyone could even think of another move, Goku ran out into the clearing and yelled out to Piccolo to come and fight him, which the old demon agrees to eagerly. But as soon as he lands, he's pelted with attacks from 6 other fighters as they appear and begin to try and overwhelm him. Now King Piccolo with his youth bag had a power level of 260, but this is still him in his old form. So let's put him at a power level of 220, being equal with Kami. I'm pretty sure that everyone fighting for the Z Fighters right now is at least 100 in power level. Yajirobe may be a little bit under that, but I'm pretty sure Goku, Master Roshi, Shen, and Tien would be at least at 180, probably pretty close to 200 by themselves. So with this, they can probably overwhelm Piccolo pretty easily with numbers. Now Piccolo is stronger than everyone, but every time he's able to almost secure a kill, another warrior would attack and distract him. Even when he does land fatal blows, they would just eat a senzu bean and be completely healed. Seeing a clear opening, Goku rockets forward and kicks Piccolo dead in the stomach, forcing him to spit up the Dragon Balls, where they are thrown over to Chaozu, who immediately flies off to go and summon Shenron. Now Piccolo is furious and begins to gear up to use a super explosive wave, but is stopped dead in his tracks when he hears words that he thought he would never hear again, Mafuba, and then Roshi begins trying to seal him, shocking everyone even further. But sadly, the technique still does fail, and Master Roshi falls, angering everyone, especially Goku, as he charges forward with even more ferocity. Just then, the sky darkens, and Piccolo achieves his attack of destroying the air with a super explosive wave. This claims the life of Master Shen as well, and injures everyone else. With his adversaries down, Piccolo angrily yells at Pilaf to use the Dragon Radar and find the Dragon Balls soon before Chaozu finishes his wish. He then hears a crunch and looks back in horror as a snarling Goku, fresh off a sizable Zenkai boost, surges forward once again and begins actually fighting him to a stalemate. Piccolo is now completely distracted by Goku and is horrified that a human child was able to fight him on equal terms. But then he sees something that chills him to the bone. Kami appears with Chaozu at his side, holding a new rice cooker, and then he activates the Mafuba and successfully seals the demon with the help of the young psychic. But Goku is still blinded by his rage and goes to attack Kami, just seeing him as someone who looked like King Piccolo. He's then knocked out by a black hand and held up by his tail. Kami and Mr. Popo then survey the damage with solemn looks, finding dead bodies and even more beaten up warriors all around, while collecting the rice cooker holding King Piccolo. Tien, tired and battle damaged, approaches the God of Earth and his attendant and asks them what exactly had just happened, where he's given an explanation of everything. At this, Tien asks Kami would allow them to revive those who had died in the battle with King Piccolo. He's however shocked when Kami and Mr. Popo laugh, and Kami explains that he had already planned to revive the brave warriors. He then has Mr. Popo collect all the bodies, and in the next instant the group is transported to the lookout. There, the Dragon Balls are gathered, and the titular wish to resurrect everyone killed by King Piccolo or his minions is made. The Z Fighters then begin to celebrate their victory, all but the serious Master Shen and the stoic mercenary Tao. But if one were to look extremely closely, they would notice a very, very small smirk on their faces. They were proud of their victory, they just weren't showing it. Kami then feels an explanation is in order, and gives the history of he and King Piccolo. He goes on to declare that Piccolo's seal, the Earth was completely safe for right now, but there was one thing. He then calls Masters Roshi and Shen to stand in front of everyone and announces that due to his old age, he's preparing to step down as the Guardian of Earth. As of now, Shen and Roshi were the two best candidates to become the new Guardians. Though they were not the strongest there, the two had shown keen wisdom and unified each other's groups in interest of the greater good. This spoke to Kami that the two had the foundations to become good Guardians, but power could come next. Hearing this seemingly undeserved praise, Shen adamantly rejects this idea and tries to inform Kami of his past, but is cut off by the god. Though Shen's heart hadn't always been the purest, recently someone's influence had led to his heart's purification. No, it was not a complete and total shift by any means, but the small amount of good that had been in Shen's heart had grown exponentially. Shen then cast a wary glance at Goku, who after being told of who Kami was, just beamed back at him. Still rejecting this, Shen then claims that Roshi should be the new Guardian, but Kami doesn't agree to this, seemingly already having a bias towards Shen for some reason. At this, Master Roshi gets an idea and asks Mr. Popo for a ride somewhere. Kami tells Popo that it is granted, and the two disappear, only to reappear a few moments later with fortune teller Baba in tow. Roshi then whispers into her ear, and the woman huffs before going through with her brother's wish, and on the lookout appears Master Mutaito. The old master looks flustered and discombobulated and looks around curiously, trying to figure out where he was, but he's brought out of the stupor when Roshi and Shen bow to him, and seeing this, their students do so as well. Roshi then gives Mutaito a quick rundown on what had happened, and explains that he felt that he would be the best candidate to help decide who the new Guardian should be. He then yelps as he feels Master Mutaito's fist collide off his and Shen's skulls, and the old master gruffly informs that they were both idiots. Apparently, one of Roshi's students in the afterlife, Gohan, had informed Mutaito that Shen and Roshi acted more as enemies than rivals. He expected the two of them to get over their little squabbles and come together after his death and rebuild the school after King Piccolo had been sealed away. The master then continued to berate his students for a long time before finally greeting Kami and is regarded warmly by the god. But then Shen was the one to sheepishly peep up and again asked Mutaito for a straight answer on who he felt would be a better guardian of Earth, he or Roshi, and the old martial arts master rubbed at his chin for a while. He then looked to Kami and very confidently spoke. "You should have more than one guardian from now on, Master Kami. Neither of these two are fit to be fully in charge. For example, Shen is too stiff, too unrelenting. His mind is always thinking of the future. He is never able to relax, while Roshi is the exact opposite. He's too relaxed and lives in the moment, slacking off on his training for his pursuits." Roshi and Shen look ashamed to hear their old teacher speak their flaws into light, but they couldn't deny them. But then Mutaito spoke again. "But that said, everything requires balance. So if the two could become co-guardians, then they could cover for the weaknesses of the other and be stronger for it." Hearing this, Khan began to chuckle. A co-guardianship is exactly what he wanted from the beginning. But something told him that if he had been the one who suggested it, the two wouldn't have accepted it the same way they did from hearing it from their own master. But now, he had an even better idea. "Actually, Mutaito, I will be electing 3 new guardians. You are to be revived and you will train alongside Shen and Roshi. Yes, you've been dead many years, but I think I'll make an exception of that rule of Shenron's for you." Mutaito was shocked again and looked at Kami as if he had sprouted another head, but the others on the lookout began to cheer, and hearing this, he soon began to laugh himself. After this, I think we can skip 3 years forward and see what happens in the training of Roshi and the 2 other potential guardians. They go through almost the exact same training Goku had in canon, but there is much less importance put on the aspect of combat, and more is put on the duties of the guardians. They are taught abilities like the Kai Kai, Kami's instantaneous movement technique, telepathy, and Kami's ability to monitor the Earth closely from the lookout. And Roshi and Mutaito are even forced to learn how to fly at one point. After the 3 years, here are the parallels for our new guardians. As for their students, well, even without their masters, I feel they would still train, and since in this timeline, the group has a history of training together, they do so over these 3 years as well. So we'll get parallels for them as well now. Also remember that training together would do wonders for everybody's games. Having nothing to do after these 3 years, the group entered the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, and after an amazing battle between Tien and Goku in the finals, Goku was able to finally be crowned the world champion. Chi-Chi likely shows up to fight Goku as in canon, and their fight goes pretty much the same, ending with a proposal. But while celebrating the festivities, they are interrupted by Kami, Popo, and the 3 new guardians. The gods explain that Shen and Mutaito have had an idea, and that they all end up agreeing to it once they had heard it. To avoid the kind of destruction and devastation caused by King Piccolo from ever happening again, they wanted to build up another strong force of fighters here on Earth. The way this would work is that by passing a certain trial, a pure-hearted warrior will be allowed to go and train with a stronger master. For example, Korra's Tower will be one of the trials, and Korrin will be one of the masters. This idea will be so effective because it's preemptive instead of reactive. Goku, being the most curious of the group, asks what this has to do with any of them, and Roshi is more than happy to elaborate. There were 5 warriors from this current group that had been deemed worthy to train at the highest level there was. Literally. Goku, Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin, as well as Chaozu, were being invited to train on Kami's lookout. Shen then steps up to explain why Tao hadn't been invited. His heart was much purer than what it had once been, but there was still so much blood in his hands, as much as this was the plot calling the kettle black. Other than that, Shen wanted to make him one of the masters. He would be training the lowest level warriors, and if they were able to pass his trial, they'll be allowed to climb Corn's Tower, and beyond that, they'd be allowed to climb up onto the lookout. Tao stops and considers this, and ponders everything, before sighing and deciding it was better to be with the Goody Two-Shoes than against them. Besides, he couldn't say that assassination was as fun as it used to be. He was getting too old for it, so he would do as his brother asked of him. Now, we'll skip forward 5 years. Not only have our main group of Z-Fighters gotten stronger, but they are a bigger group than in canon, and have stayed in contact way better than in canon as well. Goku was able to convince Chi-Chi not only to allow him to continue his training, but also to continue her own as well as part of this Protect the Earth initiative. I'd like to implement a filler scene to justify this. In episode 202 of the Dragon Ball Z anime, Chi-Chi tells Gohan of her first date with Goku as kids. During this date, they spent the entire day fighting. This is significant because she speaks on this memory fondly. If we are able to make this scene canon to this timeline, it allows us to instill a love of fighting in Chi-Chi, since it's something that brings her and Goku together. It's also something that's going to allow her to protect Gohan better. So, she decides to continue her training, but has taken a lot of time off to recover after their child Gohan is born. Gohan is also born to a family where Chi-Chi sees martial arts as a viable career option, possibly convincing Goku to maintain his World Martial Arts Tournament Championship to help support their family finances. Another big change happens with Tien. For one, he lives in the city now. For another, he's married to Launch. And most importantly, he now has a child of his very own. Goku's influence on him through this timeline has made him a bit more open to Launch's advances, and after seeing Goku and Chi-Chi settle down to a relationship where training is at the forefront and the child is brought into the world, Tien is fired up to follow the lead of his rival, and the rest is history. That said, I'm making a poll in the iCard for you guys. What gender should this kid be? And be sure to suggest names down in the comments. As for the other new members of the Z-Fighters, we see characters like Nam joining the ranks and reaching Corn's Tower level. King Choppa had also reached that level, though most of his students were struggling to get past Tao's trial. Pomput surprisingly had been deemed worthy as well, and was currently training under Tao as well. And there apparently was an up-and-coming warrior, only a little older than Goku, that was currently trying to climb Corn's Tower, after he had been approached as well. Finally, in age 761, a big party is held to celebrate the achievement of the up-and-coming fighters, and just about everyone is gathered. The Guardians are unable to make it, as Kami had warned them that he felt an impending threat approaching. During the party, it at some point devolves in sparring between Goku and Tien, while Chi-Chi and Launch yell at the two, and the entire group just enjoys themselves. It's truly very peaceful and enjoyable. That is, until the biggest power anyone on Earth had ever felt was approaching them, and soon, they saw the culprit. A long-haired man lands on the lawn of Capsule Corp, and with the device on his face begins to look at everyone, before focusing on Goku. He whistled, claiming Kakarot had gotten stronger than he figured he would, and that he could understand why he had so much trouble taking over this planet. The locals weren't pushovers compared to a baby Saiyan as weak as Kakarot was. He then goes into his entire explanation of who and what Goku was, and this shocks everyone, but they kinda accept it. As strong as he was, Goku couldn't be completely normal. Raditz then tells Goku that he'd have to join him and help the other Saiyans to conquer planets, but Goku instantly rejects this and takes off his waiting clothing, telling Raditz that they defeat him instead. Everyone at the party drops into their battle stances, while Goku and Tien tell Chi-Chi and Launch to get their kids and the weaker or more inexperienced fighters out of harm's way. Speaking of, where's Yajirobe? When the battle starts, Goku is the one who is counted on to do the most damage, and so everyone else just tries to distract Raditz, but this doesn't fare well for most of them. A solar flare from Tien is enough to stun Raditz long enough for the entire army to gang up and beat down on him, but this proves ineffective when he lets out a huge burst of energy that pushes them all away. Pomput, being the weakest, is knocked through one of the walls of Capsule Corp and now sports a terrible burn, but he's just barely alive. While Nam and King Choppa are also blasted away, where they're able to stay in pretty much fighting condition, but they are just barely in the fight now. This reduces the fight to just the main Z-Fighters, and Goku, finally swallowing his pride enough to go try and grab Raditz's tail, gets it once Chaozu gets him in a psychic hold. Here, Goku does not let him go at first, but Raditz makes his plea of leaving if he's released, and I would still allow Goku to release him. The fight calms down, as Raditz actually does consider leaving. Even though he was stronger than all his opponents, he was far outnumbered, and at this point, exhausted and beaten to an extreme degree. He begins to lift off into the air to fly away, deciding he'd call Vegeta and Nappa to tell them the problem, but ends up getting a rude awakening. As the Z-Fighters try to recover from the battle, Roshi and Shen appear at Capsule Corp and apologize for being late, but are thankful no one had died in the battle. Goku and the others try to fill them in, but they already know what had transpired and tell them the plan to bolster the Earth's forces seemed to have worked brilliantly based off this first threat. But then, the power from Raditz they sense begins to come back, and soon he lands, holding his scouter in his hand and almost shaking pale in fear. He looks to Goku and tells him that they're in trouble. Hey, what's up, Plus Ultra fam, and welcome to Plus Ultra Podcast number 25. It has been a pretty good long time since we did a podcast episode at the time of recording this one, but it has actually been even longer since I have touched on the What If Goku Was Trained by Master Shen series that I started in October of 2018, my first year of content creation. So what this podcast episode is going to be is a reintroduction to the Plus Ultra Podcast and the new way we'll probably be doing it, which is it will be more of a free-form type of content that I can get out when I know my longer videos that take more editing, visuals, all that effort that goes into them that makes them turn out so long and take so long to actually make just aren't possible to get out in a suitable amount of time. And that'll probably be a week when the Plus Ultra Podcast is uploaded, or maybe some form of live content, just something where I can give you guys some entertainment, something to do where it does not take a ton of time and effort to put out the piece of content. I also want to get into real quick why this story was kind of left on the back burner for so long before we actually do finish it up. One thing I want to say about this story is it was definitely one of my first ones that I ever thought of. I remember I gave this idea to, I know at least Dragon Ball Dad. I don't remember if I got in contact with Moscow X, even though I cited him as being one of the people that I had suggested this idea to in part 1. I think I might have just commented it to him on one of his videos, but at the time I just wasn't really big enough to get into contact with him, and I haven't really talked to him as of yet either way. You know, still, I'm aware that he's like somebody who will definitely work with and speak to smaller content creators, like no matter how the size. So that being said, I don't think he'll be doing this story anytime soon, and there are still people who do like it. And beyond that, I just want all my stories that I've started to have some type of conclusive ending on them on the channel. There was also a point when, again, this was one of my first Dragon Ball stories, and I remember I got this really, I think it was a really helpful piece of criticism at one point, but it was that this one person felt like the story had not changed from the canon version in like very meaningful ways. And I think that was given around the second part of it. So this was after a part when I had kind of admitted like, hey, there aren't really many changes I can make here just because of where the timeline is currently, but as we go on, more and more can kind of come about. And I don't think I fulfilled that as much as I could have, which in this new version I'm trying to do, I'm going to try and follow through that a bit more. But I could definitely see where that criticism was coming from. That said, I think that criticism also kind of made me a bit hesitant to continue the series from there, because I couldn't imagine too many specific changes at that time, which sucks, because I think at that point I don't know, I don't think I had thought out this story as far as I probably should have. I had a lot of cool concepts and ideas for it initially, but at some point the passion and the actual, big explosive ideas that you see in some of my newer what ifs, where there are really big critical set pieces that kind of like show you, there are certain eras and parts of the story where things happen, things are important, things change, the changes that happen from canon mean something and are relevant, and that just wasn't really present in the Shen Train Goku / Shen Turning Good series at one point. That was also an issue with it. I ended up shifting my vision with it so much that it kind of became really cluttered. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, grab your popcorn drink, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy the definitive version of What If Shen Trained Goku. So upon reviewing this series, which was very nostalgic for me, I have realized that a lot of it actually does hold up. Again, this is probably because a lot of plot points don't change, but that being said, a lot of the things that I say in that original series will be kind of repeated here, or at least paraphrased to save time. Though the first major change to note is that the Divine Water mix-up that is made in part 2 will not be made here. That was another issue with this series. I don't think I had a good review or like a rewatch or re-experiencing of the Dragon Ball story in a decent long time. So there were certain aspects and details of the story that just weren't as foggy and crisp in my mind as they are now that I've done a full anime rewatch and a full manga reread and all that stuff. And that stronger grasp on the canon narrative just helps the storytelling as a whole. So our story starts as we're familiar with the major change being that Master Roshi still has the Bancho fan in his timeline. It is used to put out the fire on Ox King's mountain, which saves his castle, and in this timeline it is left with him to one day return to his old master. From here, the rest of the original arc of Dragon Ball plays out pretty much as normal, ending with the Dragon Team stranded in the desert and coming across Master Shen and his students, as contrived as that is. They are currently practicing the Dodan Ray in a place where they can't damage their own dojo or get anybody hurt. Master Shen was very adamant that harming someone when there was no money involved just was a waste of time. Intrigued by the technique, Goku tries it and partially succeeds, much like he did with the Kamehameha in the original timeline. Because of this, Master Shen sees promise and a possible cash cow for him in Goku, and he offers to train him in the Crane School way, in the process making Tenshinhan worried that his training will be horned in on. With nothing else to do and excited at the prospect of growing stronger, Goku accepts this offer. This leads to Goku joining the Crane School, and most likely doing a lot of similar physical limit-breaking training that Master Roshi was about to start his new student Krillin on. Though this is where our new story diverts from the original part 1 that I did. Goku does not attend the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament. At least, not as an official fighter. He is initially too busy with training exercises that he's been competing in against his new three-eyed rival with, in a race to see who could achieve the Crane School's flying technique first. Meanwhile, the 21st World Tournament fires off with all its canon participants and attendants there but Goku, and two people who weren't there in canon, Ox King and Chi-Chi. They are here to hopefully do three things. Number 1, return the Bancho fan to Master Roshi. Number 2, possibly earn a bit more money to add to their treasure hoard after it's been surrounded by flames for a bit. And number 3, allow Ox King to test the training he's went over in the last 3 months. The need for the Bancho fan had made him realize how far he slacked off after leaving his master, and he determinedly begins training on an Air Force-based technique, like the Soaring Fist. Something that if a fire ever were to go off on his mind again, he would surely be able to handle it. So, he'll be replacing Goku in the tournament, and he would definitely be stronger than when he met Goku. There, where he was likely as stronger than, say, Krillin or Yamcha at this point in time in canon. And all while having a very similar technique that Jackie Chun used to eliminate Yamcha. Under this circumstance, I think it'd be very easy to have Ox King versus Jackie Chun set up as the final match. And something tells me Ox King, unlike Yamcha, would easily be able to see through the disguise, and would likely respectfully forfeit. If not, I think Roshi and he would go head to head for a while, with Roshi inevitably coming out on top. But it would be kind of cool if he maybe showed Ox King the buff form and maybe like bulked up to the same size as him to throw him out or something like that. Though either or, Jackie Chun is going to have a good match, and he isn't going to be pushed into busting any moons here, so he is by no means pushed to his limits. And that said, when the tournament seems to be over, it is interrupted by a small and mysterious warrior dropping onto the stage. Unknown to everyone else, this is Goku, wearing a Crane School Kipao, I believe it's called, and a large identity-obscuring straw hat. So, just like a Dai Li agent from Avatar: The Last Airbender pretty much. During his training to learn to fly, neither Goku or Tenshinhan are able to master the technique, causing Shen to liken them to his old rival, the Turtle Hermit. And in his mind, he determines that it's time the two's training is wrapped up. And this leads Goku to learning of the connection between the two, and the fact that the Turtle Hermit had likely entered his students, and maybe even himself, into the current World Martial Arts Tournament to test them. It seemed like something he'd do. Now, keep in mind that the original timeline, Shen specifies that he'd only really thought of entering his students into the tournament after he'd heard that Jackie Chun, and being one of the students of the Turtle School, had won it before. Here though, as he is a bit more of a prominent character, I'm trying to give Shen a bit more spotlight and make him seem a bit more realistic. I think him knowing a bit more about Roshi and maybe understanding how he thinks would convey a greater sense of these two characters having known each other for a very long time. And now Goku begins bugging Shen about going to the tournament that he had absolutely nothing to gain from. That is, until he gets a very sinister idea. He decides that he will allow Goku to attend the tournament if he promises to steal the prize money from the winner. Now remember, Goku does have morality, but Goku is also really damn gullible. So I think if Shen were to word this correctly, and if he's been around Goku for long enough, he should be able to do that, he could probably convince Goku to do this. All he'd really have to explain is, as the money is won from a martial art tournament, if you are to defeat the martial artist who won it, therefore you are stronger than that martial artist, and the money would rightfully be yours. And if one has the reasoning skills of a possibly brain-damaged 12-year-old Saiyan, I don't think it's going to be too easy for them to go through and see the logical inconsistencies of this argument. From here, Jackie Chun versus the Mystery Fighter can go very much like how Goku versus Jackie Chun went in canon, though Goku's hat is going to keep him from seeing the moon the entire time, so no great ape. Meaning he and Roshi push each other to the limits of their martial arts prowess. And yet, due simply to a lack of experience, Goku still loses to Jackie Chun, who also does the deed of identifying the mysterious fighter in front of his friends. Roshi and Co take Goku to dinner where Chi-Chi and all the others angrily ask what that new master of Goku's is teaching him. He explained the training mission he'd been sent on, and is reasoning that if he bested the martial artist with the money, then he technically had the right to take it. Roshi ignores all that and more or less stakes his claim on Goku as a legacy student. He'd met him first and he was literally grandfathered into the Turtle School. Not only could he better guide Gohan's grandson, but ultimately, he was stronger than Shen and could better train him. And here's where another small change from the original part 1 I made comes into play. Instead of Goku being excited at the offer, yet not wanting to be disrespectful and disloyal, and at least go back to the Crane School and say goodbye and properly finish his training under Shen, here Goku thinks this, but Shen actually arrives and interrupts this, revealing that he'd come to supervise Goku and see how he did. But he doesn't reveal that Goku could have likely won that if he fought more underhandedly like he'd been trying to teach him. Mostly because he and Roshi were already in each other's faces, arguing over which one of them was stronger. And from here, part 1 ends similarly. But Shen and Roshi declare that they will both enter themselves and their students into the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament. And so, the Crane vs. Turtle School arc has begun. And with that, Goku is scooped up by Shen, and to show off, flown off incredibly fast. This is also when Yamcha will be earlier inducted into the Turtle School. Though with our small change to Ox King, Roshi also gets an idea and asking him to return to the Turtle School and help in aiding in the training of his new suit, since this will ultimately lead to him having more time for his own training. Which obviously I think Ox King would because friendship, and he could possibly find a suitor for Chi-Chi that way. Also, the cliffhanger from part 1 still rings true. As Shen and Goku return to the Crane School, they find someone new there teaching Ten Shinhan and Chaozu. Tao Pai Pai has been called upon for the same task Roshi is commissioning Ox King for. But of course, we know that this will likely be a different form of training, and Tao is going to be tougher and much more demanding like him. And you see, here is where I think the major thematic change of the story kind of took place. I do think that at the end of the day, this should have been 2 really different scenarios. One of these being a what if the Crane School raised Goku? A story in which Goku lands and is either raised by Tao Pai Pai or Shen himself, meaning that his influence is the first on him. You don't get much Grandpa Gohan, Bulma, Master Roshi, all these really positive and sweet influences that kind of led to Goku being the character we know him as today, not being there initially for him. In those first 12 or 11 or 10 years, however long the story goes before you start doing major aspects of it, being under Shen or Tao Pai Pai, who shouldn't really be considered good at that time. And the other one being the exact opposite to that scenario. Something where Master Shen is still able to influence Goku in terms of a training aspect, but maybe his personality and character is purified or made good or just made a better ally quicker, that he is able to stay in the story past the 10 arc and, you know, be a major player in it, because I think he kind of should be, just based off the backstory we get for him. And this is ultimately the one I start to try and do in the original series I did, which is why you saw that series later titled What If Master Shen Turned Good, where I also plan to at one point go back and do the whole Master Shen or Tao Pai Pai or the Crane School raising Goku storyline. But all that said, expect this one to lean a lot more into the Master Shen turning good route as we go forward. So Tao is just a terrible teacher for Goku. In every aspect other than helping him increase his power, he is not suitable for this job, and Goku is not suitable to be his student. At this point, I also think that Chaozu would at least be very friendly with Goku, while Tien is beginning to become an ally of Goku. This would still lead to the 3 of them deciding at some point, hey, we don't really want to train under this guy, so we're gonna leave. Or, if you want to make a really cool change here that I didn't do with canon, I think another cool way of doing that would be have Chaozu and Goku leave. Have Tien say, no, I want to go, I really, really do, but at the same time, I also need to get stronger. I need to get way, way stronger than I currently am. Because right now, this little kid Goku has been staying on my tails this entire time. And if this training is something that he himself doesn't think he can do, then by completing it, I am better than Goku. It's not a route we would have to take, and I'm not even sure I'm going to take it for this rewrite of the story. It's just one that I am now considering as I redo it. Because at the end of the day, that route still has a very similar ending to what I did in canon, which is just Goku and Tien have some kind of, big clash, big rivalry fight at the World Martial Arts Tournament that culminates in Tien probably still winning. In this situation, I think that I would actually give it to Goku though, just because he has a training partner when Tien just lost one. He has already admitted that he probably doesn't like Tao, and unless you change a few more things, that could probably not really help Tien very much. So let's just stick to what we did originally and just have all 3 say piss on it, we're just going to leave, and they strike themselves from the Crane School and leave. And they're going to be their own masters in the last few months before the World Martial Arts Tournament. Meanwhile, the Turtle School is literally stronger than ever. Roshi has ramped up his training as an individual and does it openly in front of his students, which really motivates them all. Meanwhile, this stronger version of Ox King takes up a lot of the day-to-day parts of the training, and he also begins training Chi-Chi earlier like you'd assume he did for the 23rd tournament. Partly because giving her the tools to defend herself is just the best way to protect her. And also, this could just be a really good way to attract a suitor or a career. As for Chi-Chi, she really wants to prove to Goku that what Master Roshi said was true. This is the best school for him, and if he joins it, he'll be closer to her. So to do that, she needs to be an example of that and be really, really strong. And no, I don't think that this situation could maybe lead to her possibly liking, say, Krillin. That is, unless his personality is changed a lot, and remember, he doesn't have Goku's influence. So at this point, I think he would kind of still be a bit unlikable like he was when he first entered the story. Tao returns to Shen to complain about their students ditching him, but in difference from the original part 2 I made, Shen does not focus on this. Instead, he wants to make the best of the situation and tells Tao that they will train together for the last few months of their training period. By the end, he is sure he will see them at the World Martial Arts Tournament, and once more, he has to defeat his rival. So the absolute saddest part about this Redux project is it is not a full-on Redux project like I did with my recent Stainku one, where these changes I'm making, I really want to delve into them and see how they're going to change things. Because this, like, Turtle School versus Crane School tournament arc I've just set up is a really interesting idea that I'd love to explore more. But I feel like at the end of the day, it would end in a really, oh, okay, that was a cool arc to get to this point, but like, I feel like we could have just jumped to this point without the whole arc. Dragon Ball is a story that is very prolific. The What If community of Dragon Ball has done a lot with the story. So there are some times and spaces when I think some things just aren't too worth expanding on. This definitely isn't the case, because I think this is just a really inherently interesting situation, but this project is more focused on giving this story a really satisfying conclusion, much rather than just elaborating on some of the ideas that I've had when I thought about it going forward in the future now. And who knows, maybe at some point I really will get to actually expand on this idea and this one certain concept and maybe some new version of the story, or maybe a collaboration on somebody else's channel. You never know. But that means that this project will have pretty much the SparkNotes version of it. So again, really cool tournament arc, which I think should probably crescendo with the Shen versus Roshi matchup that I've been setting up here. I know I play with that idea of Roshi using the max power form against Ox King, but to bring that right back, I think a really interesting idea to do with this here would be having Shen learn his own form of that technique, or maybe something very much like it, that he can use against Roshi and give them a really cool even fight with these two masters of the earthling crafts at this point. Because as I went back and reviewed this series, I did realize how big a focal point that I wanted to make these two in this story to be. Because they are kind of supposed to be there. They fought alongside Master Mutaito when this planet was truly pushed to the brink of being taken over by somebody else. But to be fair, the entirety of the King Piccolo flashback is just a really wasted opportunity. Because in that instance, it really feels to me like Master Roshi and Master Shen should have probably been two of Dragon Ball's most iconic duos. Other than that, maybe Tao gets to take on the stronger Ox King, who would probably get stronger even from, the last time when he got stronger. I don't know if he'd win that fight. My point is the tournament will be really fun, and there'll be different outcomes. You'd also have Goku, Tenshinhan, and Chaozu in attendance in some form, with Goku and Ten maybe wanting to show the fruits of their training, and maybe trying to fight and surpass the power of Shen and Roshi after they had their fight, or maybe even interrupting their fight and saying that, hey, we're gonna, see who can, take out who and make this a battle royale, whatever you want to do. I don't know, man. I think there are really cool ways to write that sequence. So just that, again, I am trying to focus on giving the story a conclusion rather than focusing on every small part of it like I would if I was doing an actual drawn out what if series. Now for part 3, I actually only want to make one major change to this entire part, and that is the person who goes to get the power pole in the 4-star Dragon Ball is not Krillin, who barely knows Goku and really doesn't like him very much in this timeline. It is the early trained Chi-Chi, who would be either stronger or maybe a tad weaker than Canon Krillin at that point, resulting in Tambourine killing her. Obviously, Goku gets enraged because this is somebody who actually met earlier, and who probably through seeing her having trained with Master Roshi and, reuniting with her over this whole tournament arc, would probably be really happy to have his friend back and see that she's getting stronger, maybe want to fight her someday. These are like really cool moments for Goku, and now he's having to deal with the first real major death of one of his friends. Because remember how this scenario has been set up, the death of Bora would have never happened for Goku. In fact, the way it happened in the original part 2 was that because Tao Pai Pai was training Tenshinhan, Goku, and Chaozu, he was unavailable for the Red Ribbon Army. And after defeating and leaving Tao, Goku decides that he wants to take back his grandfather's Dragon Ball, leading to him taking on and much easier taking down the Urban Army in this timeline. Not just because he's stronger, but also because he has two really powerful allies. So, obviously Goku gets way angrier than he did in canon, though Roshi and Shen successfully hold him back from storming off and splitting up their group. They then form a truce to ally together and take down King Piccolo, which still, like in part 3, culminates in a big all-out battle against the old Demon King, ending with a surprise appearance by Kami, who uses the Mafuba and saves the brave souls trying to fix his mistake, thus ending part 3, very similar to its original. Part 4 also starts very similar just because of the route we're going for this one. But here, Chi-Chi is revived and the trio of new Guardians in Shen, Roshi, and Mutaito is formed, as Earth's defenses are bolstered by adding to and strengthening the members of what we know as the Z-Fighters. And here's where that concept I had of all of Earth's, mightiest warriors, those who have entered the World Martial Arts tournaments and made it into the finals and been named characters for a long time, being allowed to continue to climb the ranks as martial artists by going through the certain trials of their world and just getting stronger, and if need be, one day being able to be effective guardians of the world. Not in the Kami or I'm the god of Earth sense, but just in, hey, this is my planet, I'm really strong, I'm not just gonna let you come in here and take it from me. And personally, I feel like you could do this with most of the named characters from the World Martial Arts Tournament. Like, I would absolutely love to see Garon, brought back to fight longer and maybe expand on some of his abilities. If he were to learn key control, maybe be able to expand on his merry-go-round gum ability. Or characters like King Choppa, Nam, Pomput. There are lots of really cool characters who don't get to have much time in the story just because they're human and they're only really needed for one really cool fight with Goku maybe before they're going on out of the story forever. Some of these guys show back up to be referenced or killed by King Piccolo, but that's not really the best way to utilize these characters, I think. And that was ultimately a really big theme of this scenario. So, like in part 4, Raditz attacks during a large party after a time skip, but with all the strong fighters there backing up his younger brother, he just isn't going to pull out a W like this. Though they spare him, allowing him to leave the Earth. Which is when he tells Vegeta, who decides that he and Nappa will conquer the Earth, killing Raditz, Kakarot, and all on their way in the process. And that, my friends, is where part 4 ended, and my notes for this podcast end as well. And that is because I would really like for my last thoughts for this one to be very, very freeform, and going through certain aspects and parts of the story that I think I had always had in my head to do at some point, but I had just never really gotten around to doing. Because of how that story kind of went down. The kind of tragedy of this series is that it wasn't extremely popular off jump, so its following and the support for it kind of grew slowly. And while that was happening, I was writing not only other Dragon Ball stories, but just other stories in general. The amount of, hey, please continue so-and-so what if, hey, please continue so-and-so what if, X and X, whatever it may be, that's always going to be a part of it. There's literally no way I can escape that. I'm going to have to deal with that the rest of my life probably. But the amount of it you would see for this scenario and the scenarios kind of tied into it, it just was never as high as some of those other stories, which I don't think is a bad thing. That's just the way in which you can gauge what your audience does and doesn't want to see very much. But that said, this story did have an audience. This story has had support. This story has had fans of it. So for them, from here on out, I'm going to try and give a kind of superficial outline of what I think the story would have went from if that part 5 that came out, and kind of going on to the finale of the what if Master Shen turned good route of this kind of scenario. So number one, it all hinges on that idea that kind of came of Master Shen and Master Roshi forming this kind of really important duo in terms of the Earth and the Earth's mightiest warriors. And then you add Master Mutaito into that and make this kind of trinity that now form the new guardianship of Earth. The Z-Fighters are made up of a lot of people. Just off the top of my head, you can now count Goku, Yamcha, Krillin, Tin, Chaozu, Chi-Chi, who else? Ox King can be put in there. Tao Pai Pai can be put in there. Roshi, Shen, Mutaito can be put in there. Any of the Nam can be put in there. This would really easily turn into a culmination of all the what if so-and-so became a Z-Fighter scenarios that I think a lot of people have done. Honestly, with this setup, you could probably really easily do something with the filler character Piccolo that we ended up using in the all canon filler what if relay that I did with Smugstick and Mono Cool. because that is kind of what this story would be about. It would be about the Earthlings being really proactive, really gung-ho, really we're not just going to sit down and take it just because you're an alien race and you may be a bit stronger than us, and trying to, take it to the enemies. So I think what would happen from Raditz coming back and telling everybody that, hey, two Saiyans stronger than me now are coming to kill all of us because I couldn't take you down myself. It is either we work together or we are burnt to a crisp together. Either or, we have to kind of act cooperatively in this. I think from there, the Holy Trinity of fighters, Mutahito, Shen, and Roshi, would have some really harsh decisions on their plate. Notably, one really big issue here is Goku is alive, and he is likely their strongest fighter, and could likely benefit the most from the highest level of training they could give to him, which would be allowing him to go seek King Kai, but he'd have to die for that. Though I think this one is really easily remedied by Mutahito or Shen, or maybe just all of them putting their heads together and coming up with the idea that we already have fighters who have been killed in the fight with Raditz. The best thing to do would probably be to make, again, lemonade out of lemons from that, and have them go and travel Snake Way while going to King Kai's. They may not be able to get as strong as Goku could probably get there, but and that also have your Goku still here on Earth with you, which can give you a big boon to your other forces. The new training regimen for the Earth's mightiest forces is that Raditz and Goku will act as the Saiyan invaders, while all the Earthlings gang up against them to try and fight them. And that means that this would be a pretty two-pronged training regimen. That means that both the Saiyans are getting really good battle experience, they're being pushed to their limits, while also allowing the Earthlings to be pushed to their limits as well, while also learning to fight together, learning how to take on Saiyans. It's just a really good strategy to take on the current threat they're trying to do. And since this would be an instance in which you just have a ton of training partners and possibly access to maybe the odd Zenkai if a Senzu being is available and Goku or Raditz are just beat up really, really badly, this would be an instance in which they could still get some really, really good training just on Earth, normal gravity, notably really weak by comparison training partners, but still growth would be really, really immense. I think by the end of that, it will be very hard to have anyone under the power of a Cyberman that was, just training with Goku and Raditz in that time. I think Raditz and Goku would probably really easily surpass full power Nappa, with Raditz probably still being the strongest in that situation, and Goku just being a tiny bit under him, just the smallest amount in that instance. Because remember, after the first fight they'd have, he'd probably get a big Zenkai after that, and they're still training after that to do, so it's a head start. Meanwhile, any of your fighters who went to King Kai's would also really likely be around that 5,000 to 8,000 power level range, while also maybe having the Spirit Bomb and Kaioken. And if you consider a concept that I played with in the Piccolo Turn Good Early scenario, the idea of having two characters in a single arc who want to charge a single Spirit Bomb could be a really, really interesting way to use that technique. Because what if you could have one person charge the energy while the other holds the person off? Or maybe they both charge the energy while one person holds them off. Or maybe they both throw the Spirit Bomb at someone. I don't know how you do it. But listen, there are ways you can use that type of fighting technique that could really make the Spirit Bomb more viable in combat for them. So I think really easily the Cybermen and Nappa go down. Vegeta is the biggest issue there. But with literally everyone working together, maybe Raditz and Goku going feral and going into Great Ape or something, or just Raditz, he's already lost his tail at that point. And just trying their hardest, they defeat Vegeta. And in this instance, I would also like to say that Vegeta will probably not be given his, canon character spot. I think in this scenario, you would probably give that to Raditz just because he's earned it more so far. And it would also be a bit contrived to keep Vegeta along when you've already got this massive group of this army of Z fighters pretty much. And now that does bring up all new story positions and things that could be happening, what's happening here. Is Kami still alive? Are the Dragon Balls on Earth? Even so, I think it would still be somewhat unavoidable to go to Namek just because you've probably already revived a few people once before and probably can't do it again, and they probably died at the hands of Vegeta or Nappa here or something like that. So you're probably still going to need to go to Namek. But here, there won't be a Vegeta involved because I think Vegeta would either be killed by just everyone fighting him. It's just there's so much power, so many people going against him. In that instance, it's going to be a lot harder for him to get by. And I don't know if this version of Goku would be so willing to spare an opponent. That's another thing we've kind of played with in this scenario. Is that the influence that the Crane Skull has on Goku isn't completely just, up and gone as it goes. And also, that's just something we see in canon Dragon Ball. At some point, Goku just stops sparing opponents because it's just like, hey, this keeps biting me in the ass when I do it. And from here, I do think the story just starts to match up with canon really, really well. The only difference being the way the guardianship of Earth is set up and the really big amount of Z fighters we have. You also probably wouldn't have a Trunks there, or you could if you just want to leave him as a timeline constant, or just make him Raditz's son or daughter or something like that. I do think that the most interesting part of the story would be how long does this really big group of Z fighters remain completely relevant? Is there a point when that kind of lesson of cooperation that Goku has learned, the lesson that, oh, if I have people to train with me, I can get stronger, you know, being close to these comrades of mine is beneficial for me as a fighter, as a martial artist. When does that start to peter out to where it's like, okay, but I can kind of just get stronger by training on my own, or train with Raditz, or maybe just going into other worlds, stuff like that. When does that aspect of Goku's, canon characterization start to come back in for him? Does it ever? These are the really interesting themes and concepts that this scenario was kind of meant to play with that I just don't think I put enough thought into when I initially started out with. But for this one, for this version of it, I think that's what I want to do. I want to have Raditz's child in some form return to the past with a warning for our future allies and tell him that a Dr. Gero, who was even more hellbent because it wasn't just Son Goku who was such a nuisance to him, it was Son Goku and that three-eyed, fighter and that teleconnect person who were all stronger than their canon versions during the Red Ribbon Army arc, causing him to make maybe this really more advanced version of 17, 18, or just his androids as a whole, and possibly doing some small changes to the android saga. But after that, I don't think you can change much. The Buu arc comes in, and just having more Z fighters doesn't really matter in that arc. There, it's just, hey, more of the people who Buu wipes out, we just know more of the names, and we care more about them. That's kind of all that really you get from that. Going into like the Yo Son Goku and Friends Return special, that'd be kind of fun because you have that really big group. Battle of Gods, again, it's not really going to help much. In fact, it's going to hinder them more because with just Raditz, unless you want to have everything act just as it did with Vegeta, you won't have enough Saiyans to do the God Ritual. Resurrection F as well, it doesn't even have anything that's really going to change much there. I think some of the best arcs for this scenario would probably be the Tournament of Power, because the whole idea of teamwork, working together, those would be not scenarios, but themes and motifs established in the beginning of the Dragon Ball series for this instance in this timeline. So that'd be really fun. Also the Mora arc, the arc when you finally get, Earth's forces standing up and kind of going to this big war. Like, I feel like I had kind of been waiting on in Dragon Ball for a really long time. That would also be really, really fun and cohesive and rewarding for this storyline. But other than that, yeah, this was a story that I didn't put enough thought into when I first started it. I still maintain love for it. It's still one of the first what if scenarios I've ever thought of. I still think it's a really interesting concept that hopefully more people at some point will do. I notice a lot of the time that I'll have one of the first ideas for a certain scenario or something like that, and I won't see many other versions of it. And then after I do it, there might be way, way more. But I absolutely have to say, where I'm usually never thinking about the fact that that is something that can happen, and it usually does happen with, like, some what if scenarios, or it's a really popular scenario, or it's just a really good idea. I'm very much hoping somebody will pick up this story and try their own version of it. Just because I think it does deserve its own main series what if title, where it is given the time, love, passion, and focus to really flourish and become its own really iconic, really meaningful alternate Dragon Ball timeline, because I think it deserves that. But with this timestamp we are currently at, we would now be exceeding the full length of all 4 of the original videos combined together, which means that I can now title this a full story video. But I'm joking. I really much appreciate you guys for watching that original series. If you just now discovered it by seeing this one and you're just going back to rewatch it, very glad you did. If you have not yet, please do. It is much more narratively focused, where I'm not going to be breaking the fourth wall sometimes and talking directly to the viewers. But be aware that it is one of the first videos ever created for the channel, one of the first series ever created for the channel. There are portions of that series where my audio quality is just god awful, and I can't stand by it for that exact reason alone. But I think it is definitely worth seeing just to see where the channel has come in terms of writing, visuals, audio, all that stuff. And also just it supports the channel to go back and watch that stuff. Finally, remember the rules of the Plus Search podcast. You guys can suggest scenarios that you don't think I'd probably do in a main what if scenario that will be done here in the Plus Search podcast. I am completely willing to do those if they're really good ideas. Make sure if you see somebody who has suggested an idea that you want to see, make sure you give that comment a like. Make sure you leave a like on the actual video itself and stuff like that. And I am really happy to be getting back to the Plus Search podcast. It has been a really nice creative outlet for me just to have times when I can maybe interview with somebody who I love in the community who can kind of come on and talk to me about something, or just, ramble about a topic for a while without having to, put 50 plus hours of editing on top of it, But that does it for this one, you guys. Remember to take care of yourselves and the world around you. Black lives matter, trans rights are human rights, and I love you. See you guys next time.